Okay, get right on those mics if you. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. Also live on Facebook and on YouTube as we have the crucial conversations that Erie needs. I'm excited to have with us here as we talk about the Presque Neighborhood Network and the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. From the PINN, it's Seth Trott. He's the PIN president. Good to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
gotcha.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Jennifer Farrar, she's the president and CEO of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. Welcome back, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me.
You got it here. All right. So, to bring people back in, Presque Neighborhood Network is kind of a relatively new organization trying to bring some capacity and some growth and cohesiveness to that neighborhood right at the neck of the peninsula, right?
Yeah, exactly. Our footprint goes from Pittsburgh Avenue over to Powell Avenue, and then from the lakefront back to about the railroad tracks along like West 19th. So what the footprint is two different census tracts that we just kind of grabbed and stuck together.
And the idea is to kind of find out what the neighbors need and also be a resource, right? Talk about how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in this part of development where we're still trying to build the capacity in that area. I mean, we are the first sort of community development nonprofit in Mill Creek. So while Erie, the city of Erie has, our West Bayfront and Best and Corey has Impact Corey, Mill Creek has not had anything. And so the Presque Neighborhood Network is kind of trying to build that foundation and get the partnerships in place and the capacity in place to be able to, better these areas and bring resources to them.
So I think when you were on, you were able to identify some of the challenges that the neighborhood had because it's some of it was transitional, some of it commercial versus residential. Talk about some of that.
Yeah. So we in July we did a community-wide survey, and we did a survey of residents and then a separate survey of businesses and organizations. And we presented those results in October, but I brought some of them here today to talk about.
Okay.
Our footprint's like 5,100 people, roughly, and so we got a good sample size. We got about 413 responses.
That's really good, actually.
It is good. And then with respect to the business and organization responses, we've identified like 225 businesses, and we got 71 to respond.
Wow.
So that's about roughly like maybe a third of businesses in that area responded. And, we found, interestingly, we're not so different after all in that a lot of the issues that are affecting other places in Erie are affecting these businesses and individuals over in our footprint. But with respect to the resident survey, people they want better walkability, they want better sidewalks, better crosswalks. They want things like improved bike lanes and trails. And it's interesting. So neighborhood safety was sort of a big theme, but not in respect to like crime. It was more, it had to do more with like infrastructure and walkability and things like that. So people wanted a better lighting in public areas.
Yeah. That really ties in well with what some of Trek's goals are, because again, I would think part of your mission there is as a gathering place at the gem. I mean, this is the most important piece of land we have in Erie County, which is Presque State Park, right? I mean, so you're that gateway, and so that ties into that, some of those infrastructure needs and so on, I would think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being there and, after I met Seth and, learned a little bit about what they were doing, I think there's such great synergy with what they're trying to do. And then with, Trek and Presque being sort of right in the center of this PIN footprint, And, right now with what Penn is trying to do, with the master planning process that is going on right now for the whole state park complex, and then leading right up into Mill Creek's, Gateway project. When you think about all those things happening at the same time, I think it's really powerful to think about how that whole area can be transformed for residents, businesses, and then, of course, our tourists that come in.
Yeah, there really is a ton of synergy right now for that spot. It's kind of like having its moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's interesting because and people talk about like extra green space and walkability. And I think, while we don't know what will happen, because that's the point of doing a master planning process and getting all these stakeholders, is now that the state park includes that plot south of Trek up to 6th Street. So really, the state park starts there. At this point,
Yeah,
that is the start of our state park.
Owns all of that.
To Trek and then down. And so I think as we see all of this play out, that's going to really change the way that people feel who might live up in the neighborhoods adjacent to Presque Isle in the Penn footprint, might change the way they feel connected even further to the park itself.
You might be able to answer this question. We forgot about their major purchase that the state made to buy, the bait shop and the old Three Brothers and all those things. Are they waiting for the outcomes of this master planning process to say, okay, now what do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's part of the process. I mean, being the most visited state park in the Commonwealth, it's surprising to know that there has not been a master plan since 1957. So, the time is well overdue.
Right.
But, there's also the argument that maybe this is the perfect time with all the other activities that are happening with the Gateway project and Penn getting involved. And so, maybe it's just working out just right that we're able to do all these and think a really big picture, all these different groups.
Seth, weigh in on, did any of your survey respondents mention kind of that greenway that goes to 6th Street? Because, people used to live there. There was commerce there. There was good pizza there. Did they talk about that? Like, hey, what's going on?
Not in the survey responses. No,
Okay.
But one of the things that people did want was more community spaces and to improve those community spaces, and that's sort of what we're working toward and what a lot of this planning is working toward.
Do you think that the neighborhood kind of considers the adjacency to Presque Isle kind of their space too, or are they talking about in our streets and in our alleyways and in our parking situation? We would like to build more capacity right where we're living.
I think it's more right where they're living.
Okay.
If in conversations that I've had with people, they do feel a little disconnected from Presque Isle, between like the residential neighborhoods and Presque Isle. Hopefully, these changes will change that feeling a little bit. But
how far east does your footprint go again?
East goes to Pittsburgh Avenue.
All right, so it is part of the Gateway.
It is, yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Any conversation about the Gateway in your surveys?
When we were doing the survey, this was before any like the development was actually announced. Obviously, that was done last week.
Last week. Yeah.
But there was a lot of interest in what was actually going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
People wanted to know, what the plans were for that, who was going to do it. We tried to relay as much of the information that we could with respect to like, it's going to be a mixed-use development, is actually the idea of it, and that there was no developers named yet, but
Right.
There was interest in that, and people were mostly excited about it, I'd say.
I'm just trying to think, when we talk about even just the safety of proper sidewalks and things, even like going around Tracy School, I know the school district built sidewalks, but how do they go all the way to Pittsburgh?
They don't know, and that's
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the issues that people said that they wanted was more walkability, more sidewalks, and when we have that development in there, people are going to want to walk to it. So
Yeah. That's pretty incredible. All right, I'm going to take the first break here. You are tuned to Talk Erie as we talk about the Presque Neighborhood Network and the things going on at the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. Stay with us, 416. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're talking to Seth Trott and Jennifer Farrar from Mill Creek, that area, the Trek, and the Presque Neighborhood Network. So we're talking about that immediate area around the peninsula there. And so let's keep diving into some of the outcomes of your survey. Did you have some small groups that were part of this as well? Any focus groups that you did, or conversations?
We've not done focus groups yet.
Okay.
This is just strictly the survey results. The businesses that came back, we had a good representative sample of businesses. They wanted primarily help with marketing, like they want visibility, support. They want improved infrastructure, accessibility, walkability, to increase foot traffic. Interestingly, they wanted better access to parking, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, because I don't think of that area as lacking parking necessarily.
Not at all, yeah.
But the businesses seem to believe that is an issue out there.
And again, the main corridors are obviously Peninsula Drive, but also 8th Street.
8th and 12th.
8th and 12th, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, the zoning that is there is requiring so many spaces, right?
I would believe so, yeah. And with respect to some of the issues that they're seeing, again, it's back to like the typical issues that you're going to see for all kinds of businesses, but rising costs, like an inflationary environment, hiring challenges, finding qualified applicants to hire on for their positions, and also, again, marketing visibility are the top three sort of areas for improvement that they.
Your south boundary is what again, Seth?
It's the railroad tracks.
Railroad tracks. Okay.
Yeah, that's where.
So we're not really encompassing 26 in Peninsula.
No.
Or Stertania, whatever, which is another bugaboo with Mill Creek.
Yeah, that is another spot.
With the former Kmart store. So again, I'm interested in this working together between Trek and the Presque Neighborhood Network. You're having some kind of an event or festival. Or talk about some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be doing. It's called the Forever Curious Festival. It's geared toward older adults and retirees. It's going to be on March 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Trek Center. We are co-hosting it along with the Trek Foundation, and I'm sure Jennifer can fill in some of the details. But we're expecting a great event.
Yeah, and sort of I'm here in a dual capacity because I'm also on the board of the Presque Neighborhood Network, and so looking at some of those survey results and things like that, where people were looking for some events, and they talked about some like third spaces, that's not home, that's not work. And so, in thinking through some events that the Presque Neighborhood Network could do, thinking of the Trek building as really one of those third spaces that can be seen as very community center. Certainly our tourists think of it maybe as a museum type place, but we hope that our residents can feel of it like this place they can go in a community center and a gathering space. So we decided, being right there in the middle of the PIN footprint would make sense. We have the space available. So PIN was able to host a family event in October that was a trunk or treat, which Waldemere graciously gave their parking lot to do. Nice. And so as we were thinking about our next event, we thought, okay, well, let's do something targeted to a different demographic. Mm-hmm. I'm calling it the life experienced individuals. We're talking about active agers, lifelong learners. And not only is Trek a great location when we talk about the PIN footprint and a community center, but within that building, a lot of people forget that, Trek is the name of a building. Within that building, there are 9 different agencies. Wow. And, they're engaged in all kinds of amazing work and conservation, in research, science. And so a lot of those building partners are going to be having activities and stations at this Forever Curious Festival. So I don't know. C. Grant was talking about maybe doing snail races and Regional Science Consortium. They're the ones who do all the harmful alga bloom monitoring.
Working a lot with Gannon and so on.
Yeah. So, there's just so much that happens in that building. Mm-hmm. So we're going to showcase a lot of that for the event. We're going to show movies. Of course, we have that giant theater. It's awesome. 4 stories tall. And then another board member, he is part of a long-standing duo. They've been doing these shows at senior facilities since 2017. They're called the Grumpy Brothers Vintage Variety Show. And so they have this whole Grumpy 1, Grumpy 2 shtick. And, it's funny. And they just make it's about laughter and connection, and they take people down memory lane. Mm-hmm. So we're doing all that happening. So, laughter, fun, learning. And we're doing it on a day that the building is closed to the public.
Okay.
This time of year, the building is closed on Sundays and Mondays. So we're hosting it on a Monday. So the whole building will be taken over for this festival. Hopefully that means easy parking, easy access, all those things that, we hope will make it attractive for people. And it's free.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It really begs the question, if in your surveying, as you were talking to folks, did you find that you had a significant aging population in the PIN area there?
Well, that's actually one of the faults of our survey, is that the sample that we got was largely older and a little bit wealthier than sort of the cross-section of our footprint. And I guess maybe that makes sense because...
So when you match it up to actual census data, it's different?
Yeah, okay. It's just a little bit. But so we're going to push this year to try to get more input from younger people. We got a TikTok account being started up to try to reach those people and see what kind of input we can get from them.
It's interesting, and again, I there's been transition going on in your neighborhood. When you lost, I don't know how many units of mobile homes that were adjacent to Waldemere there. Young people have a hard time buying that first home, although you have some beautiful neighborhoods where you would think there would be great opportunities for first-time buyers, right? In that Oakmont, Ardmore, that whole area there, right? But those are getting expensive. Those homes, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we have an aging housing stock. There, a lot of the residents are a little bit older, generally.
yeah.
And so, in the next 10, 20 years, I think we'll see a bigger transition. But then with this development happening, we're expecting property values to go up. So it might, preclude some buyers.
I mean, has there been any rentals? There's not been any new rental projects in a while, right?
Not that I've seen, no.
Okay.
And with respect to our survey respondents, I mean, they were like 93% of them were homeowners.
Okay.
And I do know that I think it's about 50-50 throughout the footprint with respect to like renters versus homeowners. So,
Interesting.
I know that there are, I mean, I hear people all the time saying, is there a place that I can rent in Mill Creek? And there's not a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, again, I'm thinking of young families wanting to get their kids in the schools.
Yeah.
And it's, what are those options? And again, that seems like a very much of a narrative that we're hearing in the city. We're hearing it really throughout the county, aren't we?
Oh yeah, and I mean when you think about we were talking about like the parks beyond Presque Isle. When you think about some of them in that footprint, if you are closer to Presque Isle or Scott Park, and you think about having a family and being able to walk or ride your bike over to Scott Park, and then further over, I forget the name of the other park on 10th Street there. That's a great park. I forget the name of it.
Lakewood Park?
Yeah,
Is it Lakewood?
I mean that's a
Is it Lakewood?
beautiful little neighborhood park, and so to those houses to raise a family and have, I used to live in that near there, and we'd ride our bikes over there.
Sure.
And, so there is some really great park options and really great things that would want young families to be in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like, again, you have a lot going for you, especially with the millions and millions of dollars that have been invested, that are coming to be invested. Yet, there's some significant challenges when you consider, like you say, the aging housing stock. You're dealing with blight just like every other neighborhood in the county, and how do you wrestle with all that stuff, right?
It is difficult, yeah. And then it kind of comes back to this idea that we're the first organization in Mill Creek to develop in this kind of way. So we're realizing that there might not be the civic infrastructure yet in place to effectively tackle some of these challenges. So we're trying to build that up.
All right, I've got like 30 seconds. Are you? Is there a strong connection with the neighborhood in Westlake, for example, or what's the elementary school down there? Tracy.
Tracy.
Right? Yeah. Strong connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, people love Tracy.
Yeah.
With respect to our group,
with your group or members of the group. Or so,
we're working on making
it.
connections
Okay.
with Tracy. Yeah.
All right, we're talking to Jennifer and to Seth here about the Presque Isle Neighborhood Network and the things at Trek. We're going to get an update on Trek because there's always something cool going on there. So glad to hear that post-COVID that the big screen, the green screen, is up and running. And so we'll get an update here after the news. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. 434, we're talking about, the gem that Presque Isle is. And, wouldn't it be cool if you were one of those folks that lived around the beach and, it was walking distance or any of the amenities there. So Seth Trott, he is the president of the Presque Isle Neighborhood Network. Jennifer Farrar, she is the executive director of the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. I want to kind of talk a little bit about Trek. Again, we had Matt Green from DCNR on the air just a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the master planning situation. And when he talks about the complex, he definitely talks about Trek being an integral part of all of that. Has the mission for Trek kind of evolved over? Now it's been up for, 20 years almost? Or
Yeah, so the building, May of this year, will be 20 years since the building opened. Yeah. So I'm not sure that the mission of the building itself is really the same. It's to provide a great place for visitors to learn about Presque Isle, sort of an introduction to the state park. And it's meant to be a community, connection to the park. But also it's sort of like this really great, incubator model with all these other organizations in there that they're separate organizations, but they work very collaboratively and support the park. So, a ton of them are doing research that then can be fed to the DCNR staff as they're making resource management decisions, about dune restoration or invasive species management, all those kinds of things. Right. So the building's mission hasn't necessarily changed in that way. I work for the foundation, the Trek Foundation, which is one of the nonprofits. And, we are sort of redefining how we implement our vision, which says that we want to enhance environmental education, science, research, and the visitor experience at Trek and Presque Isle. And so we are very much focusing on the experience at the Trek building. And so
is it kind of I shouldn't say a blank palette, but you're able to do some things as the foundation in coordination with DCNR.
Yeah, we are
using that space.
We are, because we are helping to manage a lot of the public space in the building. So the foundation manages the gift shop.
Which is a gem, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's like people come there just to, come and do some shopping for some local type gifts.
And you're still keeping that as kind of the priority of local artisans and things like that?
Yeah. There's a lot of local artists that have their works there. And then, of course, we have a lot of Presque Isle and Erie themed things in there. So the foundation also then... it's just 2 years now, worked out an arrangement with DCNR to get the Big Green Screen Theater open again, because that had been closed even pre-COVID.
Was it really?
It was,
okay.
yeah.
So what's the strategy with that? Because I wonder what didn't work before but could work now.
Some things changed. Back in the day, so to speak, 20 years ago, it was film. Actual film. And so still around the building, you will find if you're watching online, you can see my arms, right? But these giant reels of film that had to be shipped and cost thousands of dollars just in shipping. And so that became a financial burden. It wasn't a winning proposition. Fast forward all these years, now everything is digital. We've been able to update and do things digitally. And so now it's a whole different ball game of how we can use that theater and project and the flexibility of the space.
That's fantastic. And so is there thoughts that you'll just keep it to environmental type and educational films, or could you see the latest Mission Impossible in that space?
Well, I doubt we'll ever be in a place where we can afford the licensing or royalty things to show, what you might find in
like
a commercial theater. But we do have broad flexibility. We try to focus on things that, yes, have some kind of relation to our area, to natural resources, to the environment, to wildlife. But separate from that, because the foundation is managing it, and we are also open. A lot of people have been using it and renting it to do their things that may or may not be environmental related.
Okay.
We had a kid do a 6th birthday party. Their family rented it. They were able to buy the licensing to show, because it was for their private use, not commercial.
Okay.
They were able to pay a reasonable fee
to show an
a
actual movie, yeah.
for their kid.
Very, very big movie.
This weekend, the local chapter of Trout Unlimited is using it to show a movie. There was a film fest there. Lake Effect Film Fest took place partly at Trek in the fall. So we just have a lot more flexibility with the foundation being involved in managing that space of how we can use it for, and how people, again, kind of be a community gathering spot, and a beautiful building that's a resource for the community to use.
You've updated the exhibits there too, haven't you? I mean, there's been some. I keep on hearing about new exhibits coming in.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you heard about it.
Yeah.
So thanks for mentioning. Some of the exhibits are still the same exhibits from 20 years ago, and a lot of those ones are sort of the things that haven't changed, right? The history and formation of Presque, and sort of the ecological history of Presque. I mean, those are still the same exhibits, and those are wonderful for our first-time visitors, as a reminder, as an introduction to Presque. And then we're using other spaces within the building to have a year-round calendar of rotating exhibits, for us to look through sort of different lenses at this resource. You might not have said it on air. I can't remember if we were on air when you said, but this is like this gem, right?
Yeah,
This prime thing that we have in our community. So we're doing rotating exhibits that sort of look at it through different lenses. Mm-hmm. One is all about ducks right now. We did one that was all about the shipwrecks of Lake Erie.
Right.
So different ways that we can engage and tell the story of Lake Erie and Presque Isle.
We need to have a birding festival every year.
There is the Festival of Birds. It's every April, put on the Presque Isle Audubon.
Is that right?
People come from all over the country to attend it.
Yeah, we need to cash in on the birders.
Oh, yeah, the birders
because they have
come.
cash.
I just saw an article the other day that said birding is supposed to do something good for your brain. I can't remember what it was.
I believe it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to help keep
it's
off dementia.
I
I saw the same
like
article.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it like pattern? You're trying to decipher from your memory what that pattern of that bird that you see, so you can identify the chickapee or whatever.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so there's Festival
that's a
of
big
Birds.
deal. All right.
People come from all over the country.
Okay, we need to Shaney Bills. We need to call the Audubon Society.
Yeah,
because that's coming up here in a month.
Well, and then this summer, there is going to be working with Erie Bird Observatory, one of the other bird organizations in the building. They're going to be putting on an exhibit and have a new movie about piping plovers and all the restoration work and conservation efforts, that are happening out at Gull Point, bringing piping plovers back to their native habitat. And so
we used to be a big place for piping.
now they're they're back. They've been back.
They have been back. Okay.
So it's a wonderful conservation story that happened right out there at Presque Isle. So they'll be doing an exhibit and a film around that comes out this summer.
Again, for somebody that lives in the neighborhood, they hear all this stuff. They hear all this stuff going on, and not only at Trek, but what's happening on 6th Street. We got great restaurants at both on 12th and on at the Lake Erie or West Erie Plaza. I mean, there's things going on in this neighborhood that leads to higher quality of life.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we're hoping to do is sort of organize around what's going on. So one of the things that we're going to launch this summer is a PIN passport sort of thing where you can go and kind of check off the businesses that you visit in PIN, and we'll do some kind of a prize for X number of businesses you visit. But with respect to the marketing that businesses want help with and stuff, I mean, you can latch on to all kinds of things.
What kind of connections are you making with Mill Creek government as far as how responsive have the supervisors been? Do public works come into play when you're talking about safety issues like you're talking about, or maybe there's a light that's out? Does Penelec have to respond to? Who handles that kind of thing?
Mill Creek Township has been very, very responsive to us. They've been integral from the start in discussions about what we can do with this area. Where does PIN fit in with all this development going on? And I would say we're working hand in hand with them.
Yeah. As you look at 2026, it sounds like you're trying to do more community outreach and maybe have some more conversations about some of the bigger issues, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. This first year, we just got up and going in really July.
Yeah.
And then we finished that up, did an event, and then kind of took a hiatus for the winter. And now we're back at it and getting back into our work. We're a working board again, so it's we do what we can when we can do it. So we're trying to build a capacity to be able to have full-time people in the organization to really push it forward. But we're looking to do some more events, some projects, and look at our survey and try to figure out what we can do going forward that's going to actually help the area and do things that people want to see done.
Yeah, you think about the pillars, the volunteer fire departments. What is that, Lake Shore down there? Or you think about the different pillars that have kind of been the neighborhood stabilizers. Seeing where they need support, where we can lean in on their expertise and just kind of build that fiber of the network of the neighborhood, right?
We're use as many resources that are already available as we can.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about sort of, having the conversation about PIN and the Trek Foundation at the same time is that, you asked about Mill Creek Township and their interest and I think that the possibilities with PIN and Mill Creek Township are a really great example of sort of on the municipal level that public-private intersection where you were talking, municipal government able to hopefully partner really strongly with a local nonprofit and achieve objectives together. Right. And then, you roll that up to the example of the foundation with DCNR on the Commonwealth level of sort of that public-private partnership. And we each can have a role and each have different lanes and expertise that we can contribute to, the greater good. So I think, we have some great examples of how those public-private partnerships can work.
It'd be interesting to see, the kind of crossing over the border into Erie. I don't know how far our West Bayfront goes to the west side. If there's either a neighborhood watch, for Frontier or an organization for the Frontier neighborhood, which is immediately adjacent along the Bayfront to you guys, right?
Our West Bayfront goes to the Bayfront Highway.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And then you have Leaf there, and they take over just Frontier Park, and then there's really nothing until you get to now us at Pittsburgh Avenue. I think the vision is that when you see 4 million people going to Presque Isle, you kind of want to structure your city or your county or whatever around that traffic so you can bring them in and then kind of drive them down to the Bayfront. So developing and supporting development across A Street, across that A Street corridor, I think is the natural progression of the work that's going to be going on in Mill Creek right now. But
and to hear former Governor Schweiker last week at the announcement, he said, I literally stood at the corner of 8th and Peninsula, looking in the cars, who are the kinds of people coming and going, and trying to figure out a strategy as they're coming off the park to make that left turn and go down Mill Creek's main street there on 8th.
He's exactly right.
Yeah. Again, it's gonna take having something so engaging and so well marketed that they'll make that turn. And the same thing with Trek. We need to tell the good news about Trek that we're out of COVID now. There's more stuff happening now.
There's just this past Tuesday night the foundation hosted a World Wildlife Day celebration down there in the evening from 4 to 8 for
Did
families.
you have a live panda?
Yeah, we had over no live. No, we talked all about.
I mean, isn't that their World Wildlife Fund? They have a panda,
but
right?
we are all about animals that you can find here in our own region because they need protected too. But we had over 200 people come through.
Did you really?
Yeah,
That's
and
fantastic.
it was all ages. We had some older couples, we had single adults, we had families. We had popcorn for them. They had hands-on activities. And so it was an evening, they could come after school for an after-school activity. They could go home and have dinner and then come afterwards. So we're just trying to make it a destination. The tourists naturally find us.
Right.
And we want our local audience and regional audience to really feel it's a place for them to engage.
Well, we're on our Fridays when we do the weekend events, there's always something at Trek, like on a Saturday morning.
Oh yeah,
or something
yeah.
like
Between DCNR programming that they do, some foundation programming, and then like I mentioned, all those other organizations in the building that are doing things.
But yeah, it's smart. Even if you're going to the beach every week or even every day to do the multipurpose trail. Hit up Trek, on a regular basis because there's something to find there.
Come see a movie, pop in the gift shop. There's always a new exhibit. Park there and ride your bike down and up the hill.
How's the visitor center part of the thing, and who runs that? Is that Visit Erie or no?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So it's also one of the official visitor centers that Visit Erie, keeps up. It has all the brochures, just like the ones on I-90 and the highways do.
Good.
And they staff it as well. So people come
somebody
in
can come in and say, hey,
and just ask questions like, hey, where should I go? Or this place, they can just ask those kind of general questions as well.
All right. Yeah. Hey, let's give a plug again for this event, Forever Curious Festival, Seth.
The Forever Curious Festival is going to be at the Trek Center on Monday, March 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's co-hosted by the Trek Foundation and the Presque Neighborhood Network.
Beautiful film screenings and the Grumpy Brothers Vintage Varieties show. I get this
I'm looking
vision.
forward to that one.
Well, I get this vision of the Muppets, the two old guys in the corner there.
It's pretty close. They're a hoot. They're a hoot.
I think Russ would agree too on that.
They're gonna, and it's so fun. So, and it's free. We just want people to come and enjoy it and engage and learn and connect.
And then make a day of it and visit some of the restaurants and shops in the Pin footprint.
Beautiful. Seth Trott and Jennifer Farrar from Mill Creek, from the Presque Neighborhood Network and the Tom Ridge Environmental Center. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.